Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible? Not because of what you were wearing, not because you stayed quiet, but because you stopped wearing makeup, stopped showing up to meaningless gatherings, stopped trying to please everyone. Is that freedom, or is it being forgotten? For many women in their 60s or 70s, once the heartbeat of their families, the center of every celebration, silence is now their daily companion. Some choose to slow down because they're tired. Others, because no one really listens anymore. But today, I want to tell you a different kind of story. A story about women who don't need lipstick or loud rooms to shine. Women who radiate wisdom, grace, and peace, not in spite of their simplicity, but because of it. And maybe, just maybe, that woman is you. You just haven't realized it yet. Stay with me until the end of this video, because you're about to discover why living simply and living truthfully might be the greatest gift you've ever given yourself. Some mornings, we look into the mirror, not to fix our appearance, but to find ourselves again. And there are quiet afternoons when someone's glance brushes past us, only to drift away. Not out of rudeness, but because we no longer stand out. No lipstick, no blush, no flattering dress to catch the eye. Grace, a 72-year-old woman from Ohio, used to be the kind of person who never left the house without makeup. Even a trip to the grocery store meant a dusting of powder and a precise swipe of eyeliner. My husband used to say I looked most beautiful when I smiled, she shared, but I always believed I was only beautiful with mascara on. Everything changed after he passed away. For the first time in nearly 40 years, Grace showed up at her retirement club, barefaced. No one stared. No one whispered. But she felt something unmistakable. Peace. No more comparisons. No more pressure. A study published in the British Journal of Geriatric Psychology revealed that women over 60 who stopped wearing makeup often experienced a significant rise in inner satisfaction within 6 months, especially when paired with intentional self-acceptance and esteem-building practices. Their skin was less prone to inflammation and showed a 42% reduction in facial infections, especially vital for those with age-related immune decline. But of course, no choice comes without a cost. For some, stepping away from makeup can trigger feelings of invisibility or the haunting belief that they're no longer beautiful. When unprepared, this shift can spiral into anxiety and self-doubt, especially without emotional support from loved ones or community. Psychologists call it a crisis of appearance, when a person's sense of worth has been tied to their outward image for far too long. Dr. Margaret Ellis, a geriatric psychologist in New York, once said, "Makeup isn't the enemy, but if it becomes your only definition of beauty, you stop recognizing the brilliance that's always been within you." And I believe that every woman deserves the freedom to choose how she shows up in the world, whether that means a bold red lip or simply her natural skin and a warm, gentle smile. What matters most is that it's your choice, not one made from fear, judgment, or someone else's standard. So let me ask you, when was the last time you felt beautiful without makeup? If this message speaks to your heart, I invite you to gently tap the like button and share this video. You may just give another woman the courage to smile back at her own reflection tomorrow morning. And if embracing your bare face is the first step toward living truthfully, then choosing who truly deserves your time and energy might be the second. Because not all relationships keep us young. Some quietly wear down the heart. Habit 2. Creating distance from energy-draining relationships. There are days when you feel utterly drained, even though you didn't do much at all. Your body feels fine, but your heart feels heavy. Not because you're tired, but because you've just sat through another endless conversation filled with complaints, or spent time with someone who makes you feel like you're never quite enough. At some point, we all learn, not every relationship is worth holding on to. Alice, 68, from Portland, used to have a packed schedule. Coffee dates, book clubs, lunch meetups. She was the kind of woman everyone loved inviting, kind, attentive, always ready to listen, but more often than not, she came home feeling completely emptied, like a glass poured out for others, with no one pouring anything back in. It wasn't until she suffered a minor stroke last winter that she decided to sit down and write a list of the people who made her feel lighter after every interaction. There were only 3 names. A landmark 80-year study from Harvard University followed hundreds of people from youth to old age. Its conclusion? Older adults with fewer but deeper relationships tend to live longer and report 23% higher levels of happiness than those with wider but more superficial social circles. It turns out, we don't need more people. We need more moments where we feel safe to be ourselves. Sandra Wu, a geriatric health specialist in San Francisco, puts it this way: Selective solitude is not loneliness, it's power. Choosing peace over pressure isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Still, if we're not careful, we can fall into the trap of confusing social obligation with connection. We keep answering the phone, showing up to lunch, nodding politely, not because it brings us joy, but because we don't want to seem rude. But the truth is, the older we get, the more precious our time becomes, and so do our emotions. Draining relationships don't just wear down your spirit. They've been linked to poor sleep, high blood pressure, and increased anxiety in seniors. And over time, they can deepen emotional isolation, ironically, while keeping you surrounded by people. I know it's hard to say no, especially to those we've known for years. But sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is quietly step away from conversations that leave you feeling exhausted. Because peace doesn't need to be justified, and you are worthy of it. Let me ask you gently, are you spending time with people who genuinely make you feel good? If that question gave you pause, maybe it's time to reflect. I'd love for you to share your experience in the comments below, because your story might be the very light someone else needs to find the courage to let go. And once we learn how to protect our emotional space, the next step toward freedom might just be learning how to live with less noise, fewer things, and more meaning. Habit 3. Living simply, but deeply. Some mornings, we wake up in a quiet room, only to realize we're surrounded by so many things, yet missing the one thing that matters most, peace of mind. Aging doesn't just slow the body, it softens the heart. It makes us more sensitive to the noise we once thought we needed. And slowly, we begin to crave simplicity, not out of scarcity, but out of a desire to rediscover what's truly meaningful. Eleanor, 75, lives in a small town in Vermont. Her home has just 2 rooms, no TV, no expensive decor, but it always smells faintly of lavender, and every afternoon, soft classical music drifts through the air. She doesn't chase trends. She's not on social media. She grows vegetables in her backyard, reads on an old wooden chair, and paints pictures of village life, not to sell, but to remember a life well lived. People don't envy her simplicity. They admire the calm she radiates, a kind of peace that can't be bought no matter how shiny or loud the world gets. A study from Japan's National Institute of Population and Health Sciences, conducted in the country with the highest life expectancy, found that older adults who live simply and stay connected to nature, art, gardening, or quiet hobbies like journaling show 27% higher natural dopamine levels than those who lead fast-paced, high-consumption lifestyles. Dopamine, often called the happiness hormone, helps reduce stress, improve sleep, and slow down mental aging. Living simply doesn't mean living without. It's a conscious choice to keep only what truly matters so that every item, every moment carries weight. Eleanor once said during a local community interview, "The fewer things I own, the more space I have to breathe, and every breath at my age is a gift." And it's true. Simplicity doesn't make us smaller. It makes us deeper. When we stop chasing more, we begin to care for what's inside, our memories, our wisdom, and the soul we've carried through it all. So if you could only keep 3 things that matter most, what would they be? If that question made you smile or pause to reflect, perhaps your heart is already closer to what truly matters, living lightly to live deeply. If this way of life speaks to you, I invite you to share this video with someone you love. Because maybe, just maybe, your quiet simplicity could be the spark someone else needs. To slow down, live more honestly, and fill their days with heart instead of clutter. And now, after reflecting on authenticity, meaningful connections, and the joy of less, it's time to step into the most intimate part of today's journey. A story that may seem small at first, but its truth has the power to stir the soul. Habit 4. Caring for your appearance naturally and intentionally. There are days when you look in the mirror, not to fix flaws, but to face yourself again. A woman who has weathered so many seasons, so many changes, and is still here, breathing, living, and moving forward. At this stage in life, maybe you no longer care much about makeup or chasing trends, but that doesn't mean you should stop caring for how you look. Because every time you gently comb your hair, smooth on a little oil, or choose a clean, comfortable outfit, you're sending yourself a quiet but powerful message. I am still worth tending to. Martha, 70, from New Hampshire, once shared during a group gathering. I haven't worn makeup in almost 20 years, but every morning I still comb my hair with my old wooden brush, rinse my face with rose water, and apply a touch of lip balm. Not for anyone to see, just to remind myself that I'm still me. And what's remarkable is, people always compliment her presence, an elegance that no cosmetic product could ever replicate. Dr. Helen Grayson, a natural wellness expert for seniors, once said during a wellness conference in California, "You don't need to look good for others, but you do deserve to feel good for yourself. Every small act of self-care is a quiet declaration that you still matter." Science agrees. A Stanford University study found that older adults who engage in simple body care habits like gentle skincare, mindful grooming, or light morning walks showed 25% higher levels of oxytocin. Oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, helps boost mood, clarify thought, reduce anxiety, and nurture a deeper connection to self. It's not about what products you use or how meticulous your routine is. What matters is the intention. The few minutes each day you spend reconnecting with your body, honoring all it's carried you through. Those small, consistent acts have the power to plant seeds of peace and help you begin each day with quiet confidence and gentle love. So how about you? Do you have a morning ritual that brings you joy? If you do, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if not, maybe you can start today with something simple. A deep breath by the window, a soft touch of moisturizer, a quiet moment brushing your hair with gratitude. And if this speaks to you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. There are so many beautiful, soulful habits we'll explore together, not to reinvent who you are, but to help you return to the truest version of yourself. Calm, radiant, and deeply worthy of love. Now we move into something truly special. A habit not about what you add to your life, but what you're brave enough to let go of. A healing journey told through voice, memory, and honesty. Let's go a little deeper, because sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones we haven't told yet. Habit 5. Rewriting your life. Journaling and personal storytelling. There are things in our hearts that have aged with time, yet were never spoken. Faded memories, unfinished dreams, silent moments of love or heartbreak. They sit quietly in the corners of our minds, unnoticed, untouched, and slowly we begin to forget, even ourselves. But here's the beautiful truth. Memories don't truly vanish until we stop telling them. Linda, 76, from Montana, lived a life so quiet she once believed there was nothing worth writing down. That changed the day her granddaughter Abby asked, "Grandma, did your mom ever scold you when you were little?" Such an innocent question. But it moved Linda to tears, because for over 60 years she had never spoken about the winter her mother left home, walking into the snow and never returning. That night, for the first time, Linda opened a notebook and wrote. Just a few lines at first, but then she wrote nearly every day, from small moments like her first solo trip to the grocery store to heartbreaks that still lingered in the shadows. And one day, Abby whispered, "I like your stories more than movies." A study from Emory University in Atlanta revealed that seniors who journal or record personal stories regularly show significantly better emotional regulation, lower anxiety, and an 18% boost in internal happiness. Even their brains respond more calmly to stress, thanks to the healing power of releasing emotion through language. Dr. Anthony Klein, a researcher in emotional aging, shared in an interview, "Storytelling isn't just about memory. It's a form of emotional legacy, a way for older adults to affirm their identity, heal quietly, and be remembered not just for what they did, but for who they were." Of course, not everyone finds it easy to write down what's been buried inside for a lifetime. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't remembering. It's facing what we remember. It could be a mistake, a regret, a person we hurt, or a chance we never took. But those very things, once written, once spoken, can become the beginning of healing. You don't have to share it with anyone, but trust me, somewhere there's a grandchild, a young soul, someone who desperately needs your voice to understand this world, to learn how to live with kindness and courage. Have you ever asked yourself, if I could write a letter to my 30-year-old self, what would I say? If that question tugs at something tender inside you, maybe it's time to begin. It doesn't have to be a big gesture. Maybe it's a small notebook, a voice memo saved quietly on your phone, or even a call to someone who loves hearing your stories. And if this moment stirred your heart, leave a comment below. Share a memory, any memory, that feels worth keeping. Because you never know, your story might be the spark someone else needs to begin rewriting their own, with gentleness and grace. And now, after walking together through these tender habits, from embracing your natural beauty, to simplifying relationships, to honoring your memories, it's time to close today's video with one last whisper from the soul. A reminder that no matter how loud the world may seem, you, a woman of years of wisdom of wonder, are still a world unto yourself. Rich, complete, worth listening to. Stay with me just a few more seconds and receive this final gift from your own heart to yourself. Habit 6, cultivating stillness. Learning to sit quietly with yourself. Some days, the house feels so silent. You can almost hear your own heartbeat. But if you're gentle enough to sit still, if you can resist the urge to scroll, turn on the TV, or call someone, then in that very moment, a quiet part of you finally gets heard. Judith, 69, from Oregon once said, "I'm no longer afraid of silence, because now I know it's in the quiet that my soul can finally breathe." Every morning she sits for 10 minutes on her woven chair by the window. She doesn't read, doesn't plan, just watches the sunlight, listens to the wind, places her hand over her heart. There's no need to rush emotions, no need to chase them away. They're simply allowed to be. A study from UCLA found that older adults who practice just 10 to 15 minutes of daily stillness or mindfulness meditation show an 18% lower cortisol level, the stress hormone, and increased activity in the parts of the brain tied to self-awareness and gratitude. Dr. Elaine Monroe, a senior mental wellness expert, put it beautifully. Sitting with yourself is not loneliness, it's intimacy. It's where your heart learns to listen. Stillness, when nurtured intentionally, doesn't isolate you. It gives you the space to truly listen, to understand why you're sad, and to know when. You simply need to hold yourself. So let me ask you, do you have a quiet moment in your day just for you? If you do, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you believe that peace deserves to be shared, please share this video with someone who might need it today. Because maybe, just maybe, your gentle silence could be the healing someone else is longing for. Habit 7, embracing movement, not for fitness, but for freedom. There are days when the body feels heavy, not just from age, but from years of carrying responsibilities, heartbreaks, and quiet sacrifices. But movement, gentle, intentional movement, can feel like a way of setting yourself free. Eleanor, 74, from Virginia, never liked gyms. "I wasn't trying to lose weight or impress anyone," she said with a soft laugh. "I just wanted to dance again." So every morning she plays a record, usually something from the 60s, and lets herself sway. Just 5 minutes in her kitchen, barefoot, with the morning light and her memories. She says, "I'm not dancing to stay young. I dance to remember I'm still alive." A study from the University of Michigan found that adults over 60 who engage in gentle, consistent physical activity like walking, stretching, or dancing report a 30% improvement in mood and cognitive clarity. Not because of intensity, but because of emotional release and endorphin flow. Movement, in this case, becomes medicine for the soul. Dr. Nina Caldwell, a geriatric wellness researcher, shares, "We've long misunderstood exercise. It's not punishment. It's permission to reconnect with joy, to feel the rhythm of your breath, and to remember your body is still yours." But the truth is, for many older adults, movement has been tied to shame, about appearance, about limits, about pain. That's why redefining it is so important. Movement isn't about performance, it's about presence. It's about walking through your garden and noticing the buds blooming again. About raising your arms during a stretch and whispering, "Thank you, shoulders, for still holding me up." About reclaiming every part of you that still works and still wants to be used with love. So I ask you, when was the last time you moved? Not for results, but for joy. If this habit resonates with you, please share it with someone who might need permission to move again. And if you've already rediscovered the freedom of dancing, stretching, or strolling without pressure, drop a comment and tell us about it, because your movement might just inspire someone else to begin again. Some heartbreaks don't come from illness or loss. They come from the one you trusted the most. Sarah, 62, had just remarried after years of being alone. She truly believed that after all the pain, she had finally found her soft landing. A man named James, quiet and kind, the kind of man who brought her coffee in the morning and peace at night. They didn't have much, but it felt like enough. A book shared in silence, a gentle smile across the dinner table, a second chance at love. Or so she thought. Until one fall morning, at her usual farmer's market, while picking out tomatoes, a stranger approached her and said with a faint smile, "So, you're James's new wife, right? I guess he never told you. He has a 4-year-old daughter." The words hit like ice water. The world around her slowed. Her heart raced, then dropped. Sarah couldn't breathe. James, so honest, so steady, had kept something this big from her, not because of what he did in the past, but because he didn't believe she was strong enough to hear the truth. She didn't wait. That afternoon, she drove to James's aunt's house, where, according to the stranger, the girl was staying. And there she was, a little girl with soft curls, wide brown eyes that looked too much like James to be coincidence. She was stringing beads on the living room floor. She looked up. Their eyes met, and in that instant, Sarah knew. No one needed to confirm anything. The truth was right there, alive and breathing. That night, Sarah didn't scream. She didn't even cry. She packed her bags. The betrayal wasn't just about a secret. It was about being underestimated. He hadn't trusted her with the whole truth. In the weeks that followed, Sarah drifted in and out of herself. She wrote letters she never sent. She burned one, kept another. James came every weekend, never with excuses, just quiet, sincere presence. Sometimes he brought a notebook. Inside it were questions, reflections. And one day, a letter he had written to Emily, their daughter. She asked me who her mother is. I told her she was someone I loved, but wasn't brave enough to hold on to. That sentence broke something open in Sarah, not because it made her pity James, but because it made her recognize something in herself. She wasn't weak. She wasn't fragile. She was a woman who had survived too much to be dismissed by silence. Spring came, and Sarah agreed to meet Emily. When she knelt to hug her for the first time, the little girl flinched, uncertain, but then Sarah whispered, "You are not a mistake. You are not forgotten." And the child burst into tears. In that moment, Sarah realized we can't rewrite the past, but we can walk into the future with a heart that chooses healing. Her story wasn't just about betrayal. It became a story of forgiveness, courage, and the kind of love that's pieced together, not from perfection, but from truth. Emily, once hidden, was now the center of their home. And Sarah, who once thought she was too old to begin again, became the softest, fiercest mother that little girl could have asked for. So now, let me ask you, is there something in your heart that still aches to be faced? A regret? A wound? A truth too long buried? Write it down. Say it aloud. Not for anyone else's approval, but for your own peace, because you too deserve to heal. Not for the past you can't change, but for the life you still have time to live. You see, a woman's true beauty has never lived in layers of makeup. It doesn't glow from crowded parties or come from how many people notice her. It radiates in quiet strength, in the soft, steady choices she makes to protect her peace, in how she continues to live kindly when no one's watching. And if you're living like that, congratulations. You are one of the world's quietest, most powerful lights, not flashy, not loud, but unwavering, like a meadow after the rain. And the most beautiful truth is, you still have time to begin again, to fall in love with yourself all over again, this time, gently. Today we walked through 5 simple habits, but each holds the power to change a life, to go without makeup and still feel radiant, to protect your energy by choosing your relationships wisely, to live simply but deeply, to care for your body with tenderness, not pressure, and to tell your own story, not just to be remembered, but to remember who you are. You don't have to do them all. Just one small step, taken with intention, can shift something inside you. Before we say goodbye, I want to leave you with this. Whether you live alone or are surrounded by family, you deserve to be cared for. You deserve to be heard. You deserve a life full of love, starting with the love you give yourself. If this video touched your heart in any way, please share it with a woman you love. Click like to spread this beautiful energy. And don't forget to subscribe to Golden Wise Elders and hit the bell icon so you won't miss the next chapter. And if you have something to share, a memory, a moment, or simply a hello, leave us a comment below. Because this isn't just a channel, it's a community, a place for hearts that have weathered many seasons, to meet, to listen, and to walk alongside one another through life's most meaningful years. See you in the next story, where every breath, every step can still become a brand new, beautiful beginning.